Hey everybody, I'm the Drink Pro. Today we're trying my first barrel pick with Indiana Bourbon from Old 55. Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining me. Drink Pro here yet again. You may notice something is a little different about me today. Yes, I have trimmed the beard. Why? Hard to say. Just kind of was a spur of the moment thing. I felt like trimming it. I did not, however, mean to trim it this short. I need to get a new set of trimmers because these did not do what I wanted them to, but in the meantime, we're going to keep it this short. It'll grow back. It's not going to be the epic length it was at one point, but I will grow it in a little bit more. In the meantime, though, just bear with me in my baby face. I want to thank everybody who reached out to me over this past week. I had a death in the family. It was actually my great uncle Melvin, who I didn't honestly realize how close I was with him. I worked with him for several summers during very formative years for me. I learned a lot from him about manhood, about friendship, about family, and about just being a good, decent person. He taught me a great deal, and I don't think I would be the person I am today without him. I know this is kind of a downer, but I really want to just address, thank you all so much. I felt a lot of love from the whiskey community. It's kind of difficult to recognize sometimes when I'm filming, when I'm trying to hunt down samples. Are people listening? Are people paying attention? Is this just all for naught? This last week when I was radio silent on the channel, I got so much love that it was really warming my heart. It really made me know that it's not, that I am connecting with people, that people are listening, and that they want to be a part of the community. That means the world to me, guys. Thank you all so much. So let's drink some whiskey. Now, I am super excited to drink this whiskey with you guys today. This is the first barrel pick I've ever gone on anywhere. Now, I know a lot of people have gone on a variety of barrel picks. It's not that uncommon anymore. Whatever. This was exciting for me. If people want to shit on me for that, fine, let them do it. But I was super excited to have a chance to go to a distillery, go to a rick house, and pick out a barrel of my own. Now, this wasn't totally on me. I did this in conjunction with Indiana Bourbon. That's at Indiana Bourbon on Instagram. It's a really cool account, really good people running it. I met them for the first time, actually, when I went to this tasting. Long story short, it was really great to meet these people. I think we're going to do some partnerships in the future. I have a good feeling about it. But the reason that's important is I have named my very small run from the pick Strangers with Bourbon. Because I got to meet people I'd never met before. They were strangers, they had bourbon, and so I went and met them. And it turned out great. It worked wonderfully. There are very few bottles of the Strangers with Bourbon version of this Indiana Bourbon pick floating around out there. How can you distinguish them? Well, the Indiana Bourbon labeling is going to have the Bobby Knight sticker throwing a barrel from Indiana Bourbon with their logo on it. It's a great sticker. It's a lot of fun. It's holographic, which is also kind of fun. It really stands out on a shelf. All of the bottles will also have these little dog tags. They are a staple of the Old 55 store picks. They tell you what the pick is, where it was from, things like that. And I talked with Jason, who is the head of Old 55, and he said this sort of idea behind this was you don't want to keep all those empty bottles. But if you want to remember what you've had before, if you want to keep sort of a Rolodex, these are really easy. My picks will be a little different. Every bottle that I send out, I wrote on it, Drink Pro, pick number 1, in quotes, Strangers with Bourbon, and then I signed it, Kyle. I also added a little addition to their standard labeling. On the standard labeling, they have a number, like which bottle it was out of the barrel on the Old 55 labeling. This is not the Indiana Bourbon labeling. I added a dash and then a letter. So if you have dash A, you have the first bottle from the very small release that the Drink Pro has done. Dash B is number 2, dash C is number 3, so on and so forth. Now, all of these are sold out. So you might ask, well, why the hell are you doing this review in the first place? Well, I'm seriously considering doing my own pick from Old 55. That would be me buying an entire barrel on my own and then selling it to you guys, my fans, my viewers, my friends, my family. If you'd be interested in that kind of thing, let me know. It is quite an upfront expense. It is asking kind of a lot, but I love the people at Old 55. Jason's a great guy. I might work again with Indiana Bourbon. They might be willing to do something with me because we've had a good experience with each other. So there are ways to make this something that's more palatable. But I really love the idea of having my own whiskey and putting my own name on something, putting my sticker on something. So This is a sort of test run to show you that that's a possibility. Now, this is the first time I'm reviewing any Old 55 product on my channel. I don't anticipate it will be the last. They're making a lot of cool stuff. I'm really excited to see what else they've got coming in the near future. But even just the standard lineup they have out right now and some of the store picks I've had that are out right now are fantastic. So Old 55, check them out if you can. Oh. Whoa. Okay, averting disaster. I've got the version of the pick that is my bottle that I've opened. Gonna give myself a little bit, gonna talk about it. Now, Old 55, as a general rule, is around 4 years old in their single barrel strength version, the store pick version. They do smaller barrels. These are not 60, 55 gallon barrels. I believe they're 30. I'm not 100% certain off the top of my head, but I believe they're 30 gallons. So the Old 55 recipe for their single barrels is 80% corn and 20% red winter wheat. I think that's important because it's really unique to have a whiskey that has zero barley in it. Malted barley is the basis of so many whiskeys. I mean, single malt is single malted barley. So this whiskey has zero barley in it. That's really interesting. Also, at 80% corn, it's technically a corn whiskey. That doesn't mean it cannot be called bourbon. It is also still technically bourbon. But the fact that it's also a corn whiskey is kind of fun. Now, this pick is at 55.4%, which is pretty standard proof range for everything I'm seeing out of Old 55. Now, very recently, I've seen a couple that get a little higher in proof, but they have a pretty standardized range between 54 and 56 on most of the picks I'm seeing coming out right now, at least the single barrel program. The nose on this is just gorgeous. I just get caramel all over. It's beautifully sweet caramel. It's creamy, very creamy. Vanilla is just prominent. I think I also get some honey and some white chocolate from this. That's really beautiful. I really like that. Lots of cinnamon, maybe some of that minty spearmint, maybe even a hint of tobacco, just a hint, just a little bit. There's definitely a floral note in this as well. This is an incredibly complex Old 55 pick. I must say, not to toot my own horn, but of every Old 55 whiskey I've ever tried, this is the most complex. And that's not always a positive thing, but I love the complexity on these Old 55 picks. They're beautiful. I get a little bit of lemon peel, a little bit of orange, maybe even a peach quality, just very subtly. Also, just a hint of cedar wood on this. I don't get very much nuttiness, though. There's a hint of the cedar wood. There's a lot of the sweet aromatics. There's a lot of herbal and spicy qualities. But you don't really always need nuttiness. That's not always a critical note. You know, you can pull all kinds of fun things without having a nuttier whiskey. I think the most prominent notes for me, though, are the caramel and the vanilla. That just shines brilliantly. You know what? I talked all that crap about the nuttiness, but after letting it sit for a while, I get a hint of pecan. Like a buttery pecan, it's wonderful. Okay, let's get down to business. Let's taste this beautiful whiskey. It's big, bold, sweet. Vanilla caramel right off the bat. Oh yeah, it's got a fun, subtle nuttiness in the mid-palate. And that nuttiness lingers. There's almost no wood on this pour. The woodiness is almost zero. You get a really beautiful, big sweetness on the front of the palate. The mid-palate has this wonderful nuttiness. And then the finish is subtle and quiet and doesn't linger. Some people are big about finishes. Some people want a whiskey that finishes strong. I don't always feel that way. Sometimes I want a whiskey that just has a beautiful presentation and then the finish kind of disappears. It kind of wanders off into the distance. I get this butterscotch note in the mid-palate. I get this nuttiness in the mid-palate, this black walnut, this pecan. And then there's this black pepper that sort of tingles on your tongue in the mid-palate. And it slowly drifts off in the finish, but it's there. You can tell it's there, but it's very subtle. This is dangerous. This is a dangerously smooth, easy sipping whiskey. You know, maybe that's why I wanted to pick this bottle. I actually was a little worried when I went on this pick that others would try to go other directions. And after tasting all three, I knew this was the right barrel to pick. And so luckily, it wasn't much of a competition. People sort of agreed this was the right barrel, but I was ready for a fight because I wanted this barrel. It's so fantastic. It's a beautiful, elegant, simple presentation. And some people want to shit on simple whiskeys. That is such a mistake. You do not need 8 different flavors every single sip. You do not need a 1,000-mile journey to make it fun and enjoyable. This whiskey is not something that you have to sit there and study. And that's important. Some whiskeys you want to study. Some whiskeys you want to spend time alone with in the corner. But sometimes you want a whiskey you can drink with your friends. You can have a good time with. You can have a party. It's a little hard now with social distancing, but you can have a socially distant party and really just make the most of the day. And God, if this isn't the perfect whiskey for that. That's what I wanted. That's what we got. It's awesome. It's a great time. Thank you all so much for watching. Follow at Indiana Bourbon on Instagram. I've got one quick favor to ask you. If you have one of these Stag Junior batches and you're willing to send me a sample, please reach out to me. I would really appreciate it. I'm trying to do a lineup of every single Stag Junior batch in existence, all in one go. I think it'd be an amazing video or series of videos. It's also going to be a shit show, but it'll be the most fun possible. I'm missing 1, 3, 6, 7, 8, and 14. Not that many. Really hoping I can find 14 on the shelf someday in the near future, but in the meantime, I still don't have 1, 3, 6, 7, 8, or 14. If you have one of those Stag Junior batches and you're willing to send me a 1 or 2 ounce sample, please reach out to me. It would be super helpful. Thank you all so much. Keep drinking like professionals. Cheers.